And we've got here with us, we've got Laura, who is the COO and co-founder of Sonu. We've got LATASHÁ, who is previously of Zora, an amazing leader who started Zoratopia and is now doing something new that maybe we'll hear more about. And then we've got Viktoriya, who is head of, well, a part of creator ecosystem at Base and was a part of the On-Chain Summer Initiative. So ladies, to start, I think we can kind of combine some intros into the first question and learn more about your projects. And so to start, I have a question for you, which is, in the context of evolving blockchain technologies, what do you each believe are the key elements that make a blockchain genuinely beneficial for creators? And how do you integrate these elements into what you're currently building? Whoever wants to start.
Hello. That's I'm screeching. So Laura, really lovely to meet you all. I like to say that Sona, or like the vision for Sona, was leveraging what was powerful about DeFi to create more liquidity, more access to capital for creatives. I think early on when NFTs entered the scene, there was this promise of sovereignty, there was this promise of freedom, there was this promise of access to capital, and it's a very strong technology, but we only very much scratched the surface, I think, in the last cycle, especially for things like music. So in Sona, what we're trying to do, or what we have been doing, is using DeFi primitives, the first one being sort of this Uniswap model of sharing transaction fees to the value bringers of an ecosystem. So essentially taking transaction fees from a marketplace and then sharing them pro rata with every song that's in this ecosystem, proportional to how much it's streamed, and allowing the people that support those artists, the people that show up and collect from those artists, to also earn alongside them, so that you create a mutually beneficial system around like the creation of music and giving artists access to capital from their community, from their fans. And ultimately, the beauty of it all is that the streaming ends up being free, so that the access to discovery is also no longer gated by how much you can afford to pay for streaming. So that's a little intro to Sonu, and I'll pass it on.
Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm LATASHÁ. How's everybody feeling first? Everybody good? We feeling good? Can we all collectively take a deep breath together? Like 1, 2, 3. Nice, I feel so much better now. My name is LATASHÁ. I am an artist and a world builder. I previously was working at this incredible company called Zora, which I was head of community there, and I became the founder of this incredible world called Zoratopia, in which we educated over 4,000 artists into Web3, onboarded them, got them performing all over the country, and it was like an incredible, crazy time. In that time, I realized as a creative that I wanted to do more than just educate. I wanted to be an example. I wanted to see more examples. And I wanted to create case studies for why Web3 actually works. And so upon leaving Zora, I asked Zora if I could actually take Zoratopia and make it my own brand. And I have now taken it, and it's called Topia. And what Topia is to me is a meta label and a platform for discovery. I don't want to build another marketplace because it's a lot of work. But I do want Topia to be a marketplace where people go and they feel like they're discovering what is hot in Web3, the music that's hot, the film that's hot, the documentary, etc. And I really think what we built at Zoratopia was this real deep connection with culture, and now I want to continue that work. The other side of Topia is supporting artists in building their teams out, and also finding ways to really show up for their stories in Web3 and really build out the worlds that they want to build. So one of the things that we're going to be doing this year is actually world building this concept called Tosh 55. You guys are getting a sneak peek because I have not told much people about this yet. But Tosh 55 is this really beautiful channel that you're going to receive all this crazy content about Web3, about the music, and about the stories that are going to bridge us beyond just Web3. So I'm really hyped for it. And yeah, I really do believe that what makes blockchains poppin' is when artists are at the forefront of them.
Wow, how do I follow that up? That was incredible. So it's a really great question. On the base side of things, I lead the creator ecosystem. So specifically, I focus on partnerships with creators, creator platforms, and On-Chain Summer was one of the big initiatives that I led when we first launched our blockchain. And Base is a blockchain that's a part of the Coinbase ecosystem, for those that don't know. What we want to do with Base is we want to be known as the culture chain. And a big part of that is being able to work with artists and work within verticals that actually need some semblance of maybe distribution, maybe marketing support that we can bring on the Coinbase side of things. And so just observing the space since launch, and we launched in August, it's very clear that there's two specific verticals that I'm personally passionate about and excited for, but ones that have, without blockchain, didn't have a primary mode of distribution for them really, that made sense for the artist. And what I mean by that is when you take a look at the generative art space, it was formed in the 50s, but we really didn't discover it until, you know, Ethereum came about and we saw the Tyler Hobbs and the Dmitry Cherniak releases, and those were incredible. But prior to that, in order to actually run the code, in order to get it to sequence, in order to actually have it publish something, you would effectively need hardware and you need to distribute it via CDs. And that's such a silly concept for artists. How could you possibly get in front of the audience you deserve by sending out CDs? And so on the base side of things, what we're very excited about and what we do now is focus on generative art and really getting it in front of the masses and featuring it in our Coinbase apps. And one really exciting activation that we just did was in France at NFT Paris with this artist called Zancan. And he just minted an incredible collection that got 45,000 mints in the span of 2 days. And you know, we're still in a bit of a bear here, so it's exciting to reach such crazy numbers. But the awesome thing about it is we were able to get so much distribution for this collection that it's actually become the largest generative art collection in the history across any blockchain. And so that's what we're passionate about at Base. That's what I'm personally passionate about. It's using blockchain for these verticals where it really, really makes sense, like generative art.
So all three of you have a lot of interaction with creators on chain. You're all focused on the intersection of technology and culture and also how to keep them sustainably on chain in that way. So my next question for you is, like with the interactions that you've had with creators on chain, like what are the aspects of blockchain technology that you think are underutilized by these creators that you've had so much contact with? And is there a way that you think, you know, what you're building can help them kind of become more sustainable, like creators on chain?
I could start. I think one of the parts that is not utilized enough is the data. I think oftentimes artists are excited about how much money they're making. Look, I'm one of those artists, I'd be hype. About how much money they're making and, you know, how many people they're connecting to, but the actual data in the background I think could be utilized for so much more leverage. I've spoken to a lot of different labels like Warner and Universal, and one of the aspects that we kept talking about was like having all of these addresses and having all of these people that I could connect to via my NFTs. And that in itself, to me, is going to be the new wave of leverage for an artist that wants to bridge to the next level. The fact that I could say I have 2,000 collectors right here that are always showing up, always paying for my NFTs. How can we translate that into the other side of this, you know? And I think artists need to utilize those tools more. And I'm really excited to do that with Topia.
Yeah, I think I like want to double tap on that and just emphasize that the data availability, the ability to capture more nuanced transactions and build kind of an identity layer for how collectors are showing up, but beyond collecting, right? What are the other interactions that we can leverage and support creators with that right now are gated in centralized platforms? Right. So when you think of musicians, right, when you're thinking of like generative artists, which people are looking, what people are, how are they interacting, where are they taking that, how are they interacting across other platforms as well, and having that that sort of like cross-contamination build a much more robust profile about who the broader audience is. because it's such a challenging problem, like reaching an audience or discovering an audience. And I think that Web3 has the potential to give creators the tools to segment people more appropriately and discover new audiences and new pockets of audience that are beyond as well, just the collector. And I think, sort of selfishly, I also think that we should be educating creators more on decentralized finance. Like, I think, like, what is the next step after you've earned on chain? It's like, how do you then help them take it? Exactly, SheFi. How do we help them leverage all the infrastructure that's been created to help you grow what you've earned and take advantage of that beyond? And as companies, how can we make that revenue more sustainable as well?
Go ahead, Victoria.
No, please go ahead.
I just wanted to add to that. I've met some of the most incredible team members through Web3. Like, my manager was someone I met through Web3. Now somebody that is going to be a part of my creative direction team is someone that I've met through Web3. And they have been collectors of mine. One of my investors is a Web3 collector. That just goes to show you that there are people out there that really want to show up beyond just like collecting your pieces. They want to be there for your whole, journey. And I think that is something that also is forgotten oftentimes, that you could connect with your collectors beyond just this one point.
That actually fits perfectly into what I wanted to touch on. And so I'm not a creator, right? I work at a blockchain, and I think I want to speak to this question from a product perspective of what's missing to really enable creators in the way that they need to be enabled. I think the missing piece right now is when a collector mints their first NFT, what happens afterwards? You get this hit of dopamine and you're so excited and you're so happy, but then how do you showcase that NFT to someone who isn't a part of the space, to someone that doesn't know what a wallet is? And certainly there's, the galleries and the OpenSeas of the world, but they don't necessarily represent the art, the work, the feelings, and why you're collecting these things. And so I think we need to do a better job on the product side, and I'm speaking to a lot of teams about this, trying to fix this problem, of we need a place where collectors can come together and create their on-chain profile, their on-chain identity. And we're seeing a little bit of this already with, Farcaster creating the social profile side of things. But where collectors are able to come together and have a place to showcase what they're doing, how they're doing it, a feed of some sorts, and also to bring communities together. Right now, it's so fractionalized. You have your generative art collectors, you have your PFP collectors, you have your music NFT collectors, and there's so much power within this space in its entirety for everyone to come together and showcase their work and grow together in a collaborative and not competitive way. And so that's really where I see kind of, we're missing this piece. We can hopefully work on this piece within this next bull market, and hopefully bring communities together in order to bridge the gap.
Yeah, I actually want to stay on this a bit because I think this is where you guys have the biggest wells of knowledge. And I think, Laura, this might be adjacent to what we were speaking on earlier, which I'm curious, like, if there's anything that exists right now, whether it's something you're building personally or something you've noticed, that's like innovative in the way that you think it could really help rebuild the creator economy on blockchain, especially after we've had a very tenuous relationship with NFTs the last 3 years, and you could say a lot of creators have left the blockchain for various reasons, but mostly associated with NFTs. And so, yeah, is there anything right now that you see potential in and gets you excited about something, like in the way that it could bring creators back on chain sustainably, in a calm way, without hype and the roller coaster ride? Yeah.
Yes. So this might be a little pie in the sky, but I highly recommend that people look into layer 3 technology right now. Yeah. I think in the future, sovereignty will be so important to every action that a creator takes on chain. Right now, when you're minting through platforms, you're minting through other contracts, right? It connects you to that piece of block space in a broader ecosystem with so much noise happening, right? But if you abstract that away and you create blockchains specific to applications like, let's say, music, generative art, real estate, who knows? But when you create sovereign block space for that, every action that is occurring there, right, speaks to a very specific purpose. And that action that you've taken is sovereign to what you've done and your intent on chain. And we can get so granular with what different transactions mean. They don't have to all be financialized. They can be intent-based, it can be personality-based. You have so much more control over what that on-chain life could be. So if you're an application building right now, a lot of the issues, right, is that you're sharing block space with all these different applications. You're building walls to protect the interactions and the, the benefits that you want to bring for your creators. But I think we can more easily create those spaces and those interactions and those applications by leveraging this new technology. So I can't super dive into it, but right now, but essentially think a beautifully customized blockchain where all the block space is built for one specific purpose, and in that giving all creators sovereignty over what they bring, and you giving more access to how you're empowering every user in that ecosystem, how you're rewarding every user in that ecosystem. So that's where I think the future is going right now for creators on chain and the infrastructure that we're building for creators on chain. Look at the base stack for that.
I can follow up on that really quickly, and I know we have 3 minutes, and I want to hear from LaTASHÁ still. So, but one thing that I can effectively speak to is what's important for NFTs and the next wave of NFTs to not just be a flash in the pan, for it to not just be a hyphy financial instrument for people to try and resell, is to really embed to embed NFTs into their lives, and for it to be a part of their IRL world, if you will. And so what we are trying to do this year, and what I'm working on for the summertime, fun fact, On-Chain Summer 2024 is coming back, bigger and better. But a part of it is how can we bring NFTs and the art incredible creators are putting out there into people's actual lives, and what can Coinbase and Base do to build that out? L3s are a big part of it, so stay tuned.
Yeah, I think oftentimes about just the regular listener and the person who's not tech forward or doesn't really know anything about Web3 is really where I like to start oftentimes. And I think the real instrument that we need to forge into the future is the story of the creative over and over again. Because it's going to be those artists that get their fans to care about the tech. And yes, we're fans of tech, but everybody else isn't fans of tech, right? We know this. We'll talk L3 all day, right? But I go home and I go tell my homie, yeah, this L3, they're like, what the hell is an L3? I just want to collect your music, Tosh, And I think that's going to be the crucial part of this whole game, is making sure that the language is valuable and connecting and resonating with people beyond just this space. We need to get out of our bubble, and that's just the real. And I love this bubble, but I know it got to pop. And so it's time for us to really think about that and think about the artists that are creating and getting them at the front to talk about the tech. Zora hired me at one point because they knew I knew how to speak about the tech in a way that was going to connect with people beyond Web3, because I would speak about it, how it changed my life in a show. And then those people at the show were like, oh, I got to get onto this, And I think that's the crucial part that we need to really step into for the next wave.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I love the. Yeah, so I think we're going to wrap it up. I think the idea of popping the bubble in our own way is something we can definitely end on. I don't think we have any time for questions. Yeah, okay, so if there's questions, we can take one. Yeah.
So my question is, sorry, this is loud. That was great. Thank you so much for this. I'm kind of transitioning over to Web3. And so what I've seen is the pipeline to get hired into the jobs is a little tricky, especially like with recruiters. So I don't understand like if recruiters know that like a lot about like the technologies or how that pipeline works, because it seems like there is kind of a hard time getting from recruiter to hiring manager. And that's just kind of what I've seen. Even with a technical background, I feel like it's still hard to get a job. That's just my experience, the experience I've had. So just want to hear a little bit about what's a good pipeline for people to share that with them and help them like get into the space.
I can start us off and then obviously pass it off. On the Coinbase side, if you're interested in getting hired, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to refer you for any of the open positions. We're hiring designers, PMs, business development folks, account managers, you name it, we're hiring. I think if there's one thing that I've personally found success with, and some folks in the space have found success with as well, is finding that the individual that's actually hiring for the job, so the hiring manager on Twitter, and sending them a DM or tagging them and showing them maybe some of your work, maybe showing them what you're looking to do for them. Highly effective. Crypto Twitter is the place to be, or of course Farcaster. Come on, Farcaster. Send them a note. Get noticed. I think you just have to get past the noise.
Just a rewarp, a recast on that is that, and then also showing up for conferences like this. I think a lot of opportunities are floating in the space. Because the space is so young, it's very relationship-based, it's very trust-based. So go outside, say hi to people, that is the best you can do to grow your network and open up opportunities, because we're very bad at SEO in crypto. It's very hard to find open positions, but you'll find most of that and most of those builders here. So explore.
Thank you.